Hey. Good afternoon. How weird is this? Chris Courtney here, new Pragmatic. It's a late shift. It was a feedback loop. We're gonna wait for Couchbot to kick in before we get to start. But I will say right away, nobody is expecting this. I gave everybody a heads up earlier today. I said, I'm gonna have this medical thing happen, and I definitely do not want to. I don't want to get caught up in people expecting feedback loop and then not being able to deliver it. And I most certainly could not have done it this morning. But hey, pharmaceuticals. That's right. We're all good. We are all good. Issue is resolved. And we're going to take it tentatively day by day. That's what happens when you go to the dentist. But still a little sore. That's all right though. We're gonna make it through this. Well, let's see here. We got Lisa, we've got Rebecca, we've got Kara, all submitting work today. I want to take a look at this and see if I can help you get springboarded forward. This is not going to be a long session because I am aware that I'm kind of, probably pushing it just a little bit. So I will, as soon as the encoder says I'm not overloaded, we will kick this thing off and out of the station. Watching my encoder right now for OBS. Yes. Okay. Well, you know what? Let's do it. Greetings, one and all. Chris Courtney here. New Pragmatic. Is time for the feedback loop. Late edition of the feedback loop. So we're going to go ahead and jump on in so we can try to get you students pushed forward. We're going to start with Kara, although I do have things for Rebecca and Lisa also to look at. Kara has been working on her basically she's been living in components for a while. And if we look over here at the assets panel, I can totally tell that Kara has definitely been working to build out the assets. If we go back over here and I look at the components, yeah, you can totally see what Kara's been up to. So she's got various instances set up for components and instances of components set up. So this is just taking a peek through here. So this is form field inactive, this is active, this is complete. So she's got some inline errors created. I love the fact that you're using icon and not just color. That shows me that color accessibility chapter and exercise is coming back out here. We don't use just color to indicate errors. We also put some symbolism in there, so in case we're running into a client or one of our users can't actually see that. So I like what you've done with forms. Let's see here. So this is like our stepper, and so we've got a little toast message here. So this is just like something that pops up. It's kind of like when Figma autosaves. If you watch the bottom of the file here, I'm going to save it, and Figma's going to do some weird thing where it says, hey, I autosave everything. Actually, it's not going to do that for you. But if Figma is really slow right now, so it's not giving me that fun toast message that it typically always will give. But we're not going to worry about it. We're going to keep moving forward. So I like what I'm seeing from a component level. Let's see here. These are the cards, and you've got, so here's a recipe details. It looks like maybe you're hovering. So let's see what this is. And I also like the fact that you've named these. You've been very clear with the naming. Like this is browse, this is hover, this is deselect. This has got to be hover 2. So this is hover. I haven't added it. This is hover. I'm thinking about deleting it away. This is selected. Here's the segmented controller, and obviously you've just kind of got this moving for the span of your prototype. I think you've done a lot of work here, and it's so much easier to do this ahead of time, and then get to the page and just switch it out. So here's recipe title and steps, ingredients, time. That's all great. You've got a version with a photo, a version without a photo. So Kara, I'm seeing a lot here to like. Also see your nav bar. You've got a logged in and then a sign up. You've got your buttons set up, and then some larger elements like the quotes and features. So yeah, this is looking great. This is looking fantastic, and I think this is why, when we look at wireframe version 3 for you, as we go down, it says, "Don't look down here. Not ready for review." Okay, thank you. So I will not look down there, or maybe I won't. No, I won't poke. I won't peek around down there. You've asked me nicely not to do that, so I won't do that. Let's go ahead and hide the tools here. This is a very mature looking site. The one thing that I would caution on, and I'm going to put this into prototype mode for just a second. I know it's not ready for prototyping, but I'm going to go over into prototype mode. I just want to see the depth of this page. So I'll get the try a sample, I'll drag it to the next page. It should start now the prototype, because we've got this triangle here that's going to start me there. That's all I'm wanting to do. So I'm going to press play here. I just want to take a look at the depth of that when it's in prototype mode. Okay, so it's dragging that across, and we have the Pride banner here. I love Figma. They've put that cool rainbow into the loader now. Super cool. Come on, Figma. Come on, you can do it, Figma. Okay. So here's what we're looking at. You've got this header. It says try a sample before committing on us. And then you got simply enter your details to get started. And then you've got the stepper telling you how many steps it is, and then you go in. The problem I've got is I've kind of got to scroll down to even get to the next, and it's right here. If we simply went one line with this, that next button would be right there. So it's a minor switch. It's not a big deal, but I don't want to start this process and automatically have my user bouncing up and down. Not when I've got all this space off to the sides. I could have very easily said, okay, let's put this content over here, and then basically have this form go straight down over here, and then it's definitely all on the screen together. But when I know, like, we want to go in straight line top bottom, that's fine. I'm fine with it. Just put this in one line instead of two, and I think you get there. So let's go ahead and escape out of that, because what you're going to find is, if you do that, so you've got create account, you're mowing through that, and that's fine. Select the meal type, that's going to fit just fine. And then you're going to collect an address, and the address is going to be a little longer, and that's okay. I just don't want to start with that button off the screen. I want to have this button on screen if possible. Okay. I do like your typographical alignments here, or your selection. Your selections work really well. I like the colors. I do. I could jump in and say, are we not using food imagery? Seems like there's a possibility to do that, but you know what? I'm looking for a consistent functioning design here, and this is a nice setup. Let's go down here to set up account. So we've got your account details. So delivery address, billing address, payment method, select the plan. I'm not sure, it's interesting that select a plan is there because this is the add account details page. So I'm kind of wondering, adding account details, would it ever really, I can see edit account details. I can see edit a payment method, edit my delivery address, edit the billing address, but I'm capturing, before they ever sign up, I'm capturing their address right here. So they haven't committed to us, but they've given us their name and whatever. So I feel like I've captured their delivery address. I can see the need to capture the billing address. Because the way you're setting this up, you're basically saying you're going to come in and I'm going to give you a meal, and you don't owe me anything. So you're not capturing a credit card. You're basically this is what we call a loss leader. You're going to lose money on that first bite, but you're going to get more people to sign up because it's free. And what a lot of people don't realize, they look at that and they go, man, that's really expensive. Well, what's really expensive is marketing. Pouring a lot of money into Facebook ads to pray that somebody actually signs up. I would much rather do what Kara's doing and provide value. The Facebook ad provides zero value to that end user. This, I want to, it's the reason why New Pragmatics content is available online for free. It's because I want you to be able to get value out of this before you ever come talk to me. Kara's doing something very similar just with food. You're giving them value. And once somebody finds value in your service, they're more likely to sign up for said service. So I really like the direction that Kara has taken this. I just wonder about this. I can see the need to capture payment method because we've never caught it before. We're catching delivery address right off the top. So I'm just wondering, is this more of an edit account details rather than set up account details? Now the caveat to that is if they said, if the route is, hey, I want to sign up. I don't want your free sample. I just want to sign up. In that case, yeah, I've got to go through and do all the sign up steps and sign up, and all we've done there, and then we go down here and set up their account. Okay, what do we got down here, Kara? And again, this looks great. So create a plan. I love it. It's radio buttons, boop 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 boop. And this works fantastic. Pick a meal, how many servings. I love that the selection thing, the summary. This is great. This is fantastic. It's all, I've got this. This is gonna go orange when it's ready to go. I've got a start over, but start over sounds so much more direct than reset. Reset what? Start over. I'm gonna wipe away my selections here. And then I'm just curious how we get down to the final one, because I want to see that button go bright orange, and there it is. So this works exactly how I would think it would work in my mind, and that's what we mean by intuitive. This design feels very intuitive. When something feels intuitive, I should be able to say, I'm looking at this page. And I can see what's going to be necessary to make that turn orange, so that I can select it. I gotta finish these, and then that goes orange. That's how intuitive it is. It's very clear. Browse current menus. This is lovely, and I can tell that we expanded on. Yeah, these images all look familiar because I pulled a lot of them. We expanded our spreadsheet of items, like we've got all these menu details or recipe details in a spreadsheet to make this faster to build. The last thing you want to do is like kind of go through the grind of constantly looking for content. So I try to make that a little easier because yes, content's important, but you're trying to build a site, and I don't want you having to go like claw looking for chicken tortilla soup details. Okay, so gave care of that. That's in there for everybody though. So Eve, Luigi, as you're building through, I'm going to expand that too. I just haven't yet, but I want to get some just vegetarian options. Everything here is meat. There's meat in some and or all. Even the stuff down here, the Asian lettuce wraps. I mean, it's wrapping meat. So I want just a selection of vegetarian things because I know that there are projects that you want that variety. But I do want to expand on it. I just haven't done it yet. There's so many things I want to do. But it's so rewarding, Kara, to see you pick that up and make good use of it. Again, I just love the consistency. I love the consistency of the typography and how it feels. It feels right. Yes, your plan. So you've got the centered feel for your forms, and you copy that down here for browse. And I think it makes sense because like this is centered, this is centered, this is centered, right? Going left aligned makes sense here because like it's following the line. Like my eye doesn't need to like bounce evenly across the page. It's like I just come down here and then I come down here and then I come down here. So it's great. It's great. I'm super excited by the progress that you've made, and of course then I see that I've made it to the end. Like what you see. Damn right I do. Let's go in here though. So you have this situation here where you're going to select broccoli chicken Devon. And by selecting broccoli chicken Devon, it expands. My only question here is how does this react if it's really long? Because this is like popping over, and then I can close it. It's not going to its own. It's not intended to go to its own page. I do think though that it should probably like wipe out. And I'm stretching it, but pay no attention to that. It should take over everything below it. Like I shouldn't be able to like scroll away from it. It should just take over the screen, and my only option then would be to close it out. Rather than kind of I can still kind of see these down here. So I would just like take it down to the bottom. So this is selected. I like the use of the green. It stands out. Here, yay. This feels a little forced. I'm not sure if it's like, you pop it up here, like so that it basically is like you want to make sure it shows up. And I could see it there. I could also see it like, I could see it middle of the screen, like whatever screen you're on. If you select it, I'll undo it because I want to make sure it's back where you had it. But it does feel a little forced there. So I would. It's kind of like, again, if I can save Figma, and if it won't make the toast notification, but I swear to you, it shows up on screen. I'll scroll over. It shows up right here, or it used to. Maybe they moved it. I could swear that I saw it yesterday in that position. So, Kara, the big things for me in looking at this is I like this. Okay. I like the toast, but I think it's conspicuously like tight there. I would make this take over the screen so that you would have to close it out to get rid of it. So that I couldn't like make a selection down here. I would really encourage you to do an edit account details page, because there's going to be flows that come in where I'm not just adding account details. I might want to edit my account, and it may even be a control on this to edit existing information. So it might just be account details edit. So things to consider there. Overall, though, it's really lovely. I know you've put in a lot of work thus far. While and I know this is still information that's forthcoming, but you've made a lot of progress. A lot of progress. So good job there. Again, just the minor. Oh yeah, and finally this one line tweak. This one line tweak so that we can get this next button up a little higher and on the actual screen. And with that, I'm going to get rid of that prototype link because I don't want this showing up like it's a prototype yet. Okay. And we'll save it and get out of it. And I'll get out of that too. Okay. So what that should allow us to do here is hop over to yeah, and by the way, folks, I'm not dead yet. And I'm not even dead yet right now. Let's jump over to, well, that's Kara, and that is compressor die. So we were talking about image compression for GIFs, and there are a lot of GIF compressors out there. This article I thought was a really, really good look at kind of explaining what happens in that compression. And you can kind of take a look at how it works between the different sites. Somebody's actually went through and studied this. So rather than me say, hey, have you tried a tiny JPEG or whatever, like go with somebody who's actually gone through and said, here's the upload limit and here's what you can do. Like some of these things have, oh, hey, mail unexpectedly quit. Well, that's fine. I didn't want mail open anyway. Some of these things have, Kraken, 1 image, 1 megabyte. It's not a whole lot to work with. Some of these things like compressor die, 16 megabytes, 128 for JPEG Mini. So you get the idea. And so that's JPEG, that's processing. If you go over here to GIF, you can drag in and take a look at that as well. But this is really, it says max 16 megabytes, and that's my biggest worry. Is I know GIFs can get pretty big, like really big. So that's something to be on the lookout for. This is where I oftentimes will kind of look at, like, do I just shoot a video of it and then upload it to YouTube and embed it as a YouTube or something? Like how do we want to go about doing this? But GIF compression, it's individual pictures, and that's where it gets out of control. Some of the GIFs you see that I use on New Pragmatic, they are individual shots that I've put together to show a sequence, but they're like maybe four transitions, and I don't bother with the nice fades and whatnot. It's just like 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's to save file size because I don't want it like porking up your browser. So what I was really interested in with Lisa, she submitted Crash Caddy. And we talked about Crash Caddy a while back. And Lisa, I love it because I can tell that you're beginning to use sections in your design. Lisa and I had a conversation last week, or actually this week. Sorry, my head's foggy. And the big issue that I was trying to get across was anytime that you're asking a question in a survey, we'll get to the use of surveys later. Okay, that's later. But here we're talking about just the construction of a survey. We're not worried about what you're using it for yet. We're just talking about pure construction. When you have multiple choice, like a yes/no type of answer, if I say no, have you ever been in a car accident? And I say no. Have you ever witnessed a car accident? That's the right question to ask me. If I say no, if I say yes, then the right question to ask me is, were you driving or a passenger? So now I can move outside of that. And the interesting thing is, have you ever been in a car accident? There actually is a third option here, other. Yeah, I was hit by a car. I was on my bike. So that would be a type of car accident. Um, but I guess that could you could also fit that. So what I'm trying to say is there may be a need for an other because you know yes, no, third option, other. I was hit by a car while walking, or I was hit by a car riding my bike. Fringe, but notable. Let's keep on moving though. Crash detail, documenting where did the accident happen. Did you use a mobile app to help you deal with the accident? Paperwork, emotions. So I'm curious, like if I say driving, does that? Okay, so these are check boxes. I could be both. Um, it just continues to the next question, continues to the next section, continues to the next section. Very upset. How do you feel you handled? Continue to the next section, continue to the next section. Okay, so this follow up is okay. So this is not completely right because you say section 9 here or section 10. Thank you for your time. And thank you for your time really isn't like you should just be able to say done, fin. I want to jump through and try to preview this. I'm curious of how it ends up. So yeah, I've been in a car accident. Next. Driving, and I've been passenger as well. Next. I'm gonna say Little Rock. The question here is: are you looking for places, or are you looking for freeway, or country road? Like what sort of answer are you looking for there? I don't really know. All of those could be accurate. And I'm just gonna say Little Rock and move on. Did you use mobile? I did not, because we didn't have mobile apps at that point in time. Did you have all the necessary? I did. How'd you feel after the accident? I was pretty upset. I mean, I got hit head on. Did you feel confident? No, I did not. Do you think having maybe? I'll give you a maybe on that. I'm not completely sure. That's interesting. Stay on page. Let's go back. Do you think? Interesting. So let's go back here. I said maybe, right? And this is still going to email address. That's going to email address. This should be going to, could we talk to you further about your experience? And if I said no, I think this really should still be going to, could I follow up with you? Could I follow up with you? And then from that point, it should go into this split down here. So what I'm thinking happened, Lisa, is that maybe somewhere along the way, you were working on this, and I'm not sure. Okay, so maybe, yes. Actually, I want to say no because I want to see what happens here. Thank you for your time. That's really weird. I don't think you actually need that last section. That last section is trying to like I'm gonna just delete that. Okay. Let's delete the section. And so let's now go back through that and see what happens. So if we go back and I say maybe next, no, next. Interesting. Okay, so now because that section went away, email address, continue to the next section. No, it should be submit form. Okay, so if I say no, you just submit the form. If I say yes, you go to this page right here, and then it takes care of it. So let's come back over. Back. Okay, I'm going to say no. I'm going to say next, and it says click submit to finish, and then you submit the form. So it's pretty good. It's got a couple of little minor breakpoints, but overall, I don't think you're asking too much of the user. You're basically, again, you're trying to get an idea of who you should talk to, who you should interview, who should be testing the application. You're not trying to set up a survey that's going to tell you a ton about, hey, 27% of people felt like they handled the situation well. That's not a number that's all that useful. Talking to people that have been in accidents, that would be the thing that would be more useful, because they're going to tell you, yeah, this was the big issue. And what is that? I can't tell you myself. So pretty good work. I love the fact that we had this conversation about your journal. Also, thank you for getting now all the previously Lisa had different laptops for every one of her projects. So yay, we've got laptops that are all uniform for the projects. That feels better. It matters not one iota to the hiring manager who's going to come look at your portfolio, but it just feels more consistent. Okay, let's look at Orion real quick, because I know you've been working on your Project Orion element. Same thing here. I would go with the other laptop, because I mean, now we're really showing like all the, hey, look at the keyboard. I don't really care. I do think that it's kind of interesting, because you've got time frame and problem statement up here. You've got overview here. We haven't really said what the project is. I know you've got this little puzzle piece that says Orion here, but I would like, Orion overview or Orion overview. Let's go back over to WonderDog, for instance. So with WonderDog, yeah, you've got overview up here, but we still don't really say what project this is. I think it should say WonderDog overview. Yeah, so I would suggest that. Let's look at camo. How does camo start out? Overview. So I'd say camo overview. Just to get it out there. So overview. I think that means pain points, not paint points. Orion solution. One-on-one interviews. UX audit. I do like the fact that you've gone with. You can click here to view the audit, but you clean that up, and I think that was such a pivotal thing for you to do, to basically say, hey, listen, I've got a lot of information here, but I'm going to surface the most important things. Here's the roadmap, sitemap, system overview, manager workflow. So I'm getting a little lost. It looks like we're just like throwing assets up, so there's not a lot here to digest as we go through. It feels like most of this is front loaded. So if it's front loaded, that's fine. I think I would probably be more strategic in what I'm showing in those later stages. But you also said that this is shifting. And I thought the shift was hella interesting. And here's why. So Orion is contact tracing. Okay, for those of you that are following along. Contact tracing is a labor-intensive task. Okay? So when we talk about contact tracing, we're talking about, okay, you've got COVID, so now I'm going to go and look at everybody you've had interactions with. And we're going to see if they've got COVID, and so on and so forth down the way. Tracking down every case of COVID is probably not going to be ideal. However, if there are people that have COVID that have been participating in high risk behaviors, they've been going to nightclubs, they've traveled on airplanes, they've been around a lot of other people. If somebody's got COVID and they went to the grocery store and they pretty much don't do anything but that, I'm not so much worried about them. But if this is a person who's traveled in or travels all around the country, they're like, let's say they're a salesperson, and then they go to a pool in Las Vegas, and then they go back to their neighborhood. It looks like, oh well, hey, there's this neighborhood outbreak from this, and this person. At first glance, it's like, oh well, this person got it at the store, but this person's also been to Vegas. This person's also travels around a lot. They probably didn't get. They may have brought it to the store. So this idea of flipping this around and saying, okay, we know that there are super spreaders, and we're going to identify them by studying their risk factors. I think it's super smart. And it's one of those things. Gotta be honest with you. I typically can think about something for about, I don't know, a half hour. It's one of those exercises that I do with myself, like discipline entrepreneurship. I can pick apart any business and kind of basically get a gist of how it makes money, how it could be more efficient, and I didn't think about the ability to superpower people who are doing contact tracing by focusing on their behaviors. And I haven't thought about it a lot, but it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense, and it's going to be one of those things that if you can, the only problem with it is I worry that somebody else is working on the same exact problem right now and running faster. So, Andrew here, I would encourage you to get elbow into the back of Andrew and push, because this is a great idea. I know that you've already worked on your Orion case study because it's here. That doesn't mean that this case study is bad or invalid. Projects pivot all the time. You just need something in your portfolio right now that says, I've done UX work. And I was having this conversation with Luigi. He's done a lot of UX work on AI for good. And, you do not have to wait around for that project to be done, to finish, to launch, to go begin marketing yourself off of the work that you've done. So this is good. This is good. I want it to step up. I want more. I would start by Orion overview. I would then, go through and fix silly things like that. But then let's come back down to the bottom here and really be strategic in what we're putting in. Right now it's like there's a kitchen sink here, and it starts off pretty strong, and then it loses its way. It starts to fragment. And if this is like, I'm going to talk about my UX work, there's a lot of that stuff that's further down that doesn't really need to be in there. Okay? Let's continue on. So we looked at Crash Caddy. We talked about this. We talked about portfolio. We looked at Orion. 2SI is on hold till August. I think that's fine. That happens. This is why you want to have some sort of written documentation, though, with any people that you're working with, explaining to them. Oh, it looks like Lisa's chiming in here. Yeah, 34 megabytes is too big. So Lisa's got a gift that she's trying to cram down in 34 megabytes. There was one that I saw that was 128 megabytes. So maybe we steer that direction. But on 2SI, Lisa, the thing that you run into is there's going to be these projects that start, stop. And I've made mistakes. I had I've got an ongoing project right now that I made a mistake on. I covered myself, had nice targets, like here's what the deliverables are going to be, and here's when I'm going to get paid, and I need money up front, and we got those things. And then I did not bank in what happens if the project gets delayed. What happens? Do you just hang out until it's the end? You need to be paid for that. And basically it's like a retainer. If you want to hold my attention for this project, It's X number of dollars every month, regardless of if we do anything on this or not. Okay, and that sort of retainer, the way that I structure it is I say, listen, this goes to like this is a retainer and it counts towards X number of hours per month. Okay. If you use those hours, that's fine. You don't pay over. You don't get double billed for those hours. So if I say my retainer's $5K, okay, and that pays for, let's just keep the math simple, pays for 5 hours. All right, $1,000 an hour. No, I don't really make $1,000 an hour, but I'm keeping the math simple. If I do 7 hours of work, they pay $2K more instead of $7K more because I'm taking five. They're already paying $5K every month. So for you, like for a 2SI project, I would encourage for any project like this coming up, I would encourage you to say, okay, here's what we're going to do. Here's what the pay structure is going to be, and we'll keep the math simple. I'm paid $1 an hour, okay, and every month, I'm going to make it at least $10 a month, okay. So that means you're prepaying for 10 hours of work. If you don't use it, you lose it, okay. But if you use it, no big deal. Anything above that number, I will give you an invoice for. So if they end up using you for 40 hours, you're already billing them for 10, and you're going to then bill them for another 30. Okay, total of 40. That keeps these projects that are on off, from being detrimental to you because you need some stability. Okay, and if for whatever reason they stall for, this is August, so I'm going to put this project on hold till August. Well, now you've got like, if you had set time aside, now you've got like 2 months where you're like, well, I got to fill this with something, right? So protect yourself. Protect yourself in those instances. I know this is like a friend project and all that, but still, I need you to protect yourself. All right, finally, Rebecca, thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing this. Yesterday we wanted to take a look at it, and I just couldn't. Mainly because I couldn't get access to it. So, not your fault. Accidents happen. But, top 10 things I learned while in retail, CX, and sales. One word that means them all. I don't... top 10 things I learned working with customers. Like, flip it around, because working in customers is CX. It is customer experience. Thinking maybe to order these backwards in a slide, countdown style. Okay, maybe. But I'm afraid it might not be attractive enough on its own when in a LinkedIn presentation. What do you say? What say you? Okay, so let's just take a look at what you've got here. No better way to get to know your customers than observing and interacting with them on a sales floor. I would shorten that. No better way to get to know your customers than observing and interacting with them. Period. On the sales floor immediately puts you behind the barrier of, oh, you can only do this in person. Well, we're e-commerce, we never really see them, or we're remote, we never really get that close to them. You just need to observe and interact with them. If you say period there, the sales floor thing, you remove that, and you get to focus on, I like to talk to the customers, because that's where I generate the most insights. That's that's user interviews, that's customer journey, that's product testing, that's traditional UX. Community matters a lot. Utter transparency is one of the best sales tactics. Utter transparency is one of the best sales tactics. I like it. I don't know if sales is necessary there. Sharing is good. Customers want to get to know you better. They're smart and curious. Yes. Communicate with your customers at eye level. Words and intentions that come from the heart enter the heart. Communicate with your customers directly, clearly, plainly. Eye level is again like I'm there with them. Don't sell what you like, sell what your customers want. Yes. Give, then give some more. Be generous. We frequently gift our customers add-ons and extra items to delight them at the point of purchase. ROI on the element of surprise when giving wasn't in return for anything immeasurable. It is immeasurable. Sign up and get 2 months free. The 2 months free is important when they aren't expecting it. If they sign up to get the 2 months free, it's a different thing. So be careful with that, because it makes it sound like the element of surprise isn't in that example. All right. Be truthful and show your customers how you always have your customers, how you have their best interest in mind. The product isn't the best for you because this product isn't the best for you. We had a retail store and we redirected customers to clothes that would suit them better. Respect your policies, but also make strategic exceptions. You can't pour from an empty cup. To be able to continue to deliver value. Value isn't value. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm looking for value. If you can get, if you could sprinkle in value about 20 more times in here, you'll need to continually learn. To be able to continue to be able. Sorry, my mouth is failing. We're close to the end. You can't pour from an empty cup. To be able to continue to deliver value, you'll need to be continually learning about your customers, and things change fast. That's a really good piece. I think you can edit that down. There are a couple things here that feel very in person, and I need you to get away from that, especially when you're like talking to people that are online. They may not get it. You can talk about how you observe this, like talk about the transition, how what worked in person also works online, but leave it vague as to whether you're talking, because don't put it like in concrete terms where they see it on a screen. Leave those like human to human interactions at the door. And I realize that sounds so weird. It's like, but Chris, if you're wanting me to talk about working with customers, it's like, yeah, but I need them to understand that you can do that online and not just in a store. I like this. So our next step is to expand. Like community matters a lot. Like I need a paragraph of that. But then contract on others. Like you can't pour from an empty cup. Is that what you're going to say there? Or are you going to say something about delivering value? Like we need to expand a paragraph on each, but we also need a short, like 4 to 6 word thing that goes on screen, like a headline that splashes on screen and immediately draws people in. So with that said, I'm gonna make some notes, but I'm also gonna go take some meds because I'm not completely here yet. That's if anything has stood out in the matter of the last. I keep biting that side too. I am not quite there. But I love looking at your work and giving you feedback on your work, and that's the whole point of being here. So I was able to do this today, and that's good. Will I be able to do it tomorrow? I sure hope so, because I got 3 calls with you folks tomorrow. So I'm going to go like unplug and power down and try to preserve and rest and heal. But I hope this feedback's been helpful, and for all of you, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you understanding. Sometimes you got to go to the dentist. But that's going to wrap it up for today's late edition of the Feedback Loop. Chris Courtney, New Pragmatic. Do take care. See you tomorrow. I hope.